everybody, and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today, me and Ali, we're going to be talking about some of the three big misconceptions that people hear and are believing in the dog behavior world. So, if you've ever been told that your dog is stubborn, or you've read that your dog's stubborn, that they're dominant, that they need more exercise, this video is for you. So, keep listening. These things are really common and people hear them all the time. So it's almost become true for a lot of people, and it becomes an excuse for dog behavior. And what these labels are actually doing is they're stopping us from understanding our dogs. They're stopping us from truly connecting and communicating with our dogs because it's just putting a label over behaviors that aren't true. So these are everywhere, and they're believed because they're on TV, they're in social media, and they're told by trainers that are quite famous. And they give us a quick explanation. It makes it like people think, oh yeah, that must be true because it's a quick fix. Oh, if I do this, then this will happen. But it's not always the right knowledge that you've been given, and people are just doing their best with the information that they've been given or they've read, and they're just trying to do what they think's right for their dog. So today we're just going to tackle some of these misconceptions and really help you to understand the deeper picture behind these misconceptions. So the first one is my dog is being stubborn. This is one that we hear all the time, and it might be, for example, your dog's not listening, they're ignoring commands, they've got inconsistent behavior. And what if it wasn't about that? What if your dog wasn't refusing? They weren't being naughty, they weren't not listening, but they just were just asking you some questions. And they were feeling some things that actually we've never even thought of, such as feeling overwhelmed, feeling confusion, feeling like they've got to take responsibility because they don't feel safe. So, Ali, do you have any kind of examples of a dog being stubborn and how we could, well, what we believe as being stubborn and how we can reframe that for people to look deeper into that behavior?
Yeah, absolutely. He's down here. He's called Ludo. Yeah, when Ludo first came to live with us, he was about 6 months old, and he is a rescue from overseas. So he'd had quite a lot of unsettling experiences in his early life, and I would definitely say he would fit into that common category of being stubborn, because it took, just as one example, it took him a long time to want to come to me when I called him,
Mm,
to the point where he would actually kind of sit there as if almost like in this kind of attitude going, why? You know, it's like, no, you come to me. And so I could see how that would have been described as a stubborn dog, because he didn't come immediately when I said, Ludo, come. Um, yeah, so that's an example of what people can see. How I would talk about that, however, was I saw that with Ludo as a sign of intelligence. I saw it as a sign of a dog needing more information about who I was before he committed to doing what I was asking of him. So yeah, I actually will always reframe stubbornness as intelligence,
yeah,
and then we sort out the communication confusion.
yeah. And I think labeling a dog as stubborn, it almost like helps the reason why humans do it is because it helps us to go, oh, they're just stubborn. It makes an excuse for the behavior. Whereas when we really look deeper into it and we really truly see the through the world of through the dog's eyes and go, right, what is it there? Why is it they're doing this? And understanding it means that you can get to kind of the core of the issue and start to get on the same page with the dog, start to understand them more. So instead of seeing it as defiance or being stubborn, we're actually going like you did with Ludo, going, right, what is it? Maybe he just doesn't trust me yet. Maybe he's feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Maybe he's feeling a bit anxious about things. And so I just need to take a step back. Whereas if you saw it as being stubborn, you would have just got frustrated, annoyed, and angry at him, which would have given him the communication that he didn't need at that point.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very human, emotionally charged word that
Mm.
I don't think we need in the animal kingdom. We just need to stay factual, and maybe that as a sort of concept will go throughout this conversation as we cover the other two things as well. But we as humans often use our emotionally charged descriptive words that because fair enough, that's what it can look like. But I will always question that with my clients just to dig into, is this useful in the animal kingdom? Is stubbornness a useful quality in an animal? Because our animals are very purposeful. Our dogs are very purposeful. They only ever do things for really good reasons that make sense to them. So that's where we've got to go to. That's what we start with is why? Why is this dog
Yeah.
appearing stubborn? Or basically, it's not doing what I'm asking the dog to do. Why not? And what can I do about it?
Yeah. And really misreading a dog can have huge consequences for your relationship. And so seeing a behavior as stubborn when it's not, it really is putting this barrier between that connection between you and your dog. And so it's so important that we truly understand what our dogs are thinking, what our dogs are questioning from us, so that we can answer them in the right way, so that they don't feel more anxious, they don't feel more overwhelmed, they don't feel like they have to take more of a responsibility. So yeah,
Yes.
it's really important to get that kind of understanding at the core.
Absolutely. It's like you say, it's a big barrier to our understanding. It totally blocks us from being able to move beyond and
Mm.
carry on, improving our relationship.
Yeah. So moving on to the second misconception, my dog is trying to dominate me. Which is another very common belief and one that I hear all the time. You might see hear somebody say when a dog jumps up at you that, oh, they're trying to dominate you. When a dog is excessively barking, they're trying to dominate and control the situation. You might see some dogs humping each other, oh, they're trying to dominate each other. And so if we can just reframe dominance, what we see as dominance, as it's often a dog trying to make some decisions and take responsibility.
Mm.
Um, and we just need to step in to help them feel safer so they don't feel that they need to, take a step up and take responsibility or make any big decisions in that particular moment.
Mm.
Um, Ali, have you got anything any examples?
Yeah, I'm thinking of this time not Ludo. I'm thinking of Kenny, our old rescue, who was 10 when we brought him home. And he came with very much an attitude of protection. And I think, yeah, very, very anxious dog to begin with. And what I found he did was to begin with, if the doorbell rang or if we had visitors, he would try and herd me. So he
Mm,
would stand in front of me, he would try and kind of move me out the way. He would be in between me and what he saw as the danger or the problem. So that's an example that I've seen. Um, and yeah, I think again it stems from high stress. It stems from a dog who's a bit confused about what his role is in the family.
and also like understanding what a dog sees as danger in that, because we often don't see things as danger that a dog would see.
Mm,
So Kenny in that situation was seeing something as a danger, whereas if you didn't realize that, then it would have would have been like, what's the problem? So, it's
I would
seeing,
have got annoyed with him had
yeah,
I not seen it for how I understood it, which was, a dog doing his best, trying to fulfill this protective role. Actually, it sort of, it made me think even more warmly towards him and made me think, wow, you're amazing. You've only just got here. You don't even know me, and you're still trying to protect me immediately. And then obviously I'm going to work on that with him to lower his anxiety so that he doesn't feel he needs to do that.
yeah, absolutely. And dogs will even like question each other. And very often when I'm around other people and we see like maybe a dog humping another dog, we either see it as sexual or dominating, and it's neither.
It rarely is either, is it?
And so it's really interesting that we automatically see that behavior as dominating, where actually it's the dogs asking each other questions as well, going, right, okay, if I do this to you, how are you going to respond? Where do I fit, in
Yeah.
terms of this relationship? Yeah.
Absolutely. And, I see it a lot. And yeah, like you say, it's a word that is very, very commonly used. Um, and I think I would just point us to when dogs meet um, and immediately go into a chase or some kind of what looks to us like play. I would say, let's just not think about play as always recreation and joyful. What dogs do, again, they're purposeful. They're running and chasing each other to see who's the fastest,
Yeah.
to see what happens, who's the strongest, the fastest, where do we fit together in
Yeah.
the natural hierarchy of things. So humping is just part of that as well. It's like, I'm going to do this to you, what's going to happen next, and then the other one might do it to that one. And so it's a natural behavior for dogs to figure things out together.
Um,
It's
and then there
us
is,
that then brings the stress to it sometimes,
yeah.
isn't it? When we're like, oh, stop it. And obviously, on occasion, we're going to need to step in to help the situation. But ideally, stepping in really calmly is better than panicking.
Yeah, and sometimes dogs will do it because of the reaction from the human as
Great
well.
point.
They know it gets some form of attention or reaction, so they do it more. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's also a story for another time, maybe. So yeah, it's not about dominance, it's not about power, or control. It's about questioning and about security and about okay, where do I fit, and actually who's got the responsibility. So yeah, again, like the previous misconception of being stubborn, and really understanding what your dog is asking so that we can answer it in the right way is so important because again, if we saw those behaviors as dominating, we're probably going to respond in the wrong way, and give our dog the wrong information.
Mm.
So let's go on to misconception number three. Another big one. My dog just needs more exercise. Yeah, just take them out for a longer walk. Just the reason why they're misbehaving, and this links with breeds as well. I very often hear this with Malinois. They need more exercise. You're not exercising enough. That's why they're behaving the way they are. This happens a lot with bigger dogs. Border collies, for example, those kind of herding breeds, and it's just really a huge misconception because exercise is not going to change a dog's mindset around a behavior. All it's going to do is adrenalize them and make them feel exhausted for a moment, but it's not going to change their mindset.
Mm.
They're still going to feel anxious. They're still going to feel reactive. They're still going to feel like they need to question you in some way. Again, we're just looking at the symptom. We're not looking at the kind of root cause
Mm.
of those behaviors. So yeah,
Yeah.
overexercising your dog is really not going to help.
I think it's such a long-lived fallacy.
Mm.
I think it's been around since I remember being into dogs, as a school kid. Um, and I what I see is that it's come from the unfortunate situation of somebody not being able to figure out why a dog is showing this unwanted behavior, whatever it is. It's often destruction in the house, or, incessant barking, or just having no off switch,
Hmm.
and always being switched on, that kind of thing. And yeah, unfortunately, the this fallacy of exercising a dog out of behavior simply stems from not being able to figure out what the behavior needs to be solved. Um, so yeah, that's what I've seen and continue to see. Um,
I can add in a little extra misconception that this links onto, which is dogs are bored. Yeah, and they need to be entertained and all of this. So that kind of links into that as well. So we need to make sure that our dogs are not bored. Another misconception, but it links to exercise as well.
mm,
And
yeah,
yeah, it's the same as needing more exercise. It's like we can't feel like we've got to constantly entertain our dogs.
yeah.
I just want to say, dogs should be sleeping between 15 to 20 hours a day, even without a walk.
Yeah. So, what does a walk bring to a dog? Well, let's do, Kate, another YouTube on the concept of the walk
Mhm.
in origin, anyway, because that is so fascinating to talk
Yeah.
about it like that. But if we think about what happens when we and our dogs leave the security of our homes, is adrenaline happens because we're now not safe anymore. We're leaving safety and security. And then we are asking our dogs to, I don't know, we're using maybe the ball thrower, high intensity interval training, or we're going for a jog with them. What does that do with physiologically? Well, it builds adrenaline. And then we bring them back, and you know, I talk to many clients about actually not starting their day like that
Mm.
because it's not at the moment helpful for their dog. Their dog starts the day at maybe 6:30 in the morning with this adrenaline from the jog, and then that's how it stays. Whereas if we can discuss a calmer, quieter way to begin the day, I think that's always very important. Um, Tony Knight used to say that if exercise was the key to good behaviour, then all of our footballers would be angels.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So yeah, it's a really interesting one, and one that I'm often talking about, being heavily involved with the boxer breed. You know, that's one of the ones, like you were saying, it's very breed specific. If you go onto the Kennel Club website, there's a lot of information about what each breed requires per hour. And it's interesting. It's so interesting. And yeah, we do not live up to that, me and Ludo. And yeah, he's all right.
What we
We're
always
both
say, less,
okay.
less is more. Less is more. Yeah. Okay, great. So, hopefully, what we've just talked about there has really started to shift your perspective on some of those things. They may be things that you believed in, and you may be maybe not completely convinced, which is completely okay. But hopefully, you've just shifted your understanding from putting labels on behavior to curiosity around why your dog's behaving that way, rather than reacting to behaviors, maybe understanding them a little bit more, and then going from kind of trying to fix your dog's behavior to listening to them, really listen to what it is, they're trying to say to us. And what I suppose I want to leave you with today is maybe your dog isn't stubborn, you know, maybe they don't need more exercise, maybe they are not being dominant, maybe they're trying to tell you something. And maybe the question isn't, how do I stop this? Maybe the question is, what is my dog experiencing right now? And could you now this week, just get a little bit more curious around those behaviors. Instead of putting a label, human label on those behaviors, really start to think about, okay, if I saw the world through my dog's eyes, what is it that they're asking me? Okay. So thank you so much for being here today. If you could like and subscribe to our channel, that would be amazing. It just helps us to get further reach, but it also alerts you to when we put up another really important conversation around dogs. So thank you so much, and we shall see you next time. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.